want to take it back to the start. Your first couple of years with the Fife Flyers. How did that come about? Your move to Fife.
It was a bit of a surprise, to be honest. I was just playing junior hockey with Glasgow and got the call to come up and train with them. And a couple of training sessions later, they asked me if I would dress for them in a game, and I was delighted. I was like, yeah, sure, I would dress for them in the game. Turns out they wanted me to start the game, and went from there. I played about maybe a handful of games for the rest of that season, and joined towards the later half of the season. Played a handful of games and had done well, and got signed back the following year. And again, I think I signed as maybe a number 2 goalie. They weren't really sure what to happen. And first game of the season, I think we were playing Paisley Pirates actually, and I was sitting on the bench. About 5 minutes into the game, we were down 2 goals. He said, "Get your gear, get your helmet on when you're going in the net." And ever since then, I kind of held on to the first spot and played all the games for the rest of that season. And it was a bit of a surprise to me, and I had a great time in Fife.
Your signing with the Belfast Giants. How did that come about?
Yeah, well, I obviously had my cousin here, Colin Shields, and I think he was pushing for me to get signed. I think that was something that I was looking forward to if it was going to happen, playing with Colin. And then also Todd Kelman and Steve Thornton, it was their decision, and they'd seen me play against them, and I'd had some good games against Belfast in the time previously. So I think for them, I think it was a bit, maybe they felt like it was a bit of a risk as well. You know, it was a British goalie, and no one had won the league with a British goalie or a title with a British goalie. So I think overall, I think they were happy enough for me to sign as long as I got a new helmet, they said at the time. So I used to wear an old Jofa bucket helmet, and they said, if you get a new helmet, you can sign for us.
Obviously a cheap deal to get that done then.
Yeah, I was like, I'll take that.
Your first year, playoff champion. It was mooted at that time that nobody would ever win with a British Netminder. Always nice to prove people wrong.
Yeah, it's nice to win, to be honest. And if you can do it when people don't think you can do it, then yeah, it's a little bit better, I guess. But yeah, it was a great time. It was still one of my most fun memories, just being part of that team in general. And I think we got to the playoffs. We were a bit disappointed we didn't win the league. I think we felt we had the team, we could have done it. And I think once we won that playoff, it was a great way to end the season, and I think well deserved as well for all the guys involved. And just to end on a high like that, it was such a great first year.
Then you went on to win 2 league championships. Somebody said it couldn't be done with a British goaltender. It's always good to prove people wrong.
It was definitely nice to win those titles, and when you win those titles, that's the last thing you're thinking about is proving people wrong. It's just such a relief at the same time as enjoyment. You know, it's such a grind throughout the year. It's course of the year. Every single game is a must-win game, and you know you're always battling against at least 2 or 3 teams that are pushing you all the way as well. So when you get that win, there's nothing like it. That's just that final step, and it's such a relief and such enjoyment as well.
The Boston Bruins coming into Belfast, playing the Belfast Giants with a sprinkling of the IHL players. That must have been one of your big highlights.
Yeah, for sure. It was a memory I always look back on fondly, for sure. It was such a cool experience, and the build up to it, I was excited. I thought it was super cool. We were playing against the Boston Bruins. I kind of thought, oh, we'll probably be playing like a B team or something like that. And then we heard, no, this is it. This is their last few games before their start of the season. So they've cut right down. They've only got a few guys on the bubble. So they were coming out and they were playing a full team. And I was like, oh, that's nice. Yeah, we'll get to play against guys like Tim Thomas and Tuukka Rask and Chara. And so I thought it was pretty cool. And then the morning of, we came in for the pre-game skate and seen the Chara towering over everyone on the ice, and I thought, what are we doing? This isn't so cool after all. And I don't think I'd been more nervous for a game on the build up to a game ever since, and since then either. I probably haven't. Obviously a bit more nerves than normal, a bit more jangles, but yeah, it was come out on the ice. It was just a real cool experience, and to be involved in that game, I was pretty lucky and enjoyed myself as well. So I was delighted with it.
There's a memorable picture out there with you and Zdeno Chara you know, there's a bit of a size difference. But what was he saying to you at centre ice?
He had kind words for me. I can't remember exactly now, but he gave me a kind word. He said I had a good game, along the lines of that. I think those guys really enjoyed themselves as well. They enjoyed their time here, and I think he got on the mic after the game, and we thought maybe that's what they do in all their games, but a friend of mine actually worked for the NHLPA at the time, and he told me afterwards, he said that they would never do anything like that when they would go anywhere. So they had their time in Belfast and they enjoyed it, and like all the guys that come here and play in Belfast, they have a great time, and some of us stick around.
You've had your fair share of injuries over the year. In the last couple of years, it must have been frustrating for you. Obviously, you know, the chances with the Belfast Giants have had for silver or picking up that Challenge Cup and not getting the start. How have you dealt with that later in your career?
It's tough. It's tough to deal with. Injuries at any time in the career, it's tough to deal with. In a way, it's maybe a little bit easier to deal with when you're a bit older and you understand it's part of the game, and you know what it takes to get back from it, and you know the road ahead of you is going to be tough, so you can accept that a little bit more. When I was injured earlier in my season time here, it was a bit harder because you want to push and do everything you can, and you just don't know when that time's coming. But it's part and parcel of the game, and you know, you pick up injuries all the time, and you play with injuries, and you play through them, and you battle through them, and that's just the way it goes.
Tyler Beskermani, he's come into this year for the first import goalie in the Belfast Giants for over 10 years. Your role has changed in the last couple of years. How have you adapted to that, and obviously with Tyler coming in playing so well?
Yeah, I mean, he's come in, done a great job, and personally, I've adapted to it fairly well. I mean, obviously, I'm keen to play as many games as I want, but I think at this stage in my career, I'm able to adapt to things a bit easier than it is. If I was a younger guy, I'd probably be a bit more frustrated. But I've played my fair amount of hockey, and I've done my bit as well. So I'm happy to contribute to the team in different ways, and anything I can do to help. And you know, the Giants have probably the best goalie in the league, and Besco's doing all right as well, so we're in good shape.
Family is important. You've obviously set your roots in Northern Ireland now, marrying a local girl. You've got a young boy, Alex, and that helps you through those difficult periods like injury too. Yeah,
100%. Like last couple of times when I've been injured and I've had my wife and son there, it just makes it so much easier. You know, it's you have the bonus of spending a little bit more time with your wee man, and then that makes it so much easier, and it makes your recovery quicker as well, I find too. So without those people in my life, you know, it wouldn't have been the same here in Belfast for sure. And also the extended family that I've now gained here in Northern Ireland, it's been so nice, and it just feels like home even more.